Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's topic discussion is an ICO spotlight. This is a protocol / framework based ICO named Essentia. So Essentia is basically a system that allows for a framework to be built with protocols that allows for the interoperability between the digital layer and a physical layer, and allowing those points to all be decentralized on one data network, allowing for information to be trusted for the user or for the platform that plans to utilize the Essentia protocol. So what it allows us to do in layman's terms is provide a trustless platform for data to flow from one network to another network, from one user to another user, and having that all based in one location. So they basically break it down into two different areas. One is called the essences and one is the synergies. The essences link data together from multiple sources into a cohesive final decentralized entity. So that is basically this main area here. And then the synergies interconnect operations and modules between different platforms. So that is kind of working with the different platforms and the different modules within the Essentia framework. So Essentia basically has already integrated with certain platforms, certain blockchains out there to provide one common place for the data to flow and for users to be able to gain access to all their data within one location. And I'll go into the different pros and cons of why this would happen. But I think it's really cool. One, they have a minimal viable product that you can actually test out and trial, which I think is really cool. I will jump into it. But basically, it'll allow you to kind of integrate, pull in different dApps, different blockchains, and have one working space. So think of Google when you have all your email, your files, using Google Drive. You have your documents using, Google Sheets. You have Google Calendar. All those things are based in one location, and obviously things can be funneled into it. Think of that as what Essentia is trying to do. Obviously, there are other protocols, frameworks out there similar to WanChain and others where they try to merge multiple layers, interoperability. The Interoperability Alliance, but this I think is more of a mainstream kind of way of targeting users to be able to get all their data in one place and to be secure. Their main goal of this project is to be secure, having one ID to be able to access everything. They don't have access to it. The platforms don't have access to it. Only you do. It's all based on one seed. So projects already integrated with Essentia. There are adding more, of course. Genesis, Ethereum, Status, Mysterium, EtherDelta, IPFS, Surge, Aragon, Bitcoin, FlipMe. So you have your atomic swipes, you have currency, you have Aragon is a news feed, basically storage with data. IPFS with data, Mysterium is a VPN, Status is a messaging app which allows for currency exchanges as well. The decentralized exchange everybody knows about is EtherDelta, Ethereum, and so forth. So, there are integrating different things on the platform. Before we go into what the problem is, they do have a quick snippet here on an FAQ because I know people are going to ask, what key level, what is it, and why does it differentiate, because a lot of people will compare it to certain projects. So Essentia is a trustless modular framework allowing users to operate within the digital decentralized identities and data by creating their own operating system with on-chain capabilities that can be accessed from all devices in the world. So it is a decentralized data bank for all the interoperability to those other platforms. And you're not limited to an app or something specific. You can access your data from multiple different sources. It empowers users with the full control and ownership of their data, ID, information, privacy, and assets while being applicable in every device in the world. DApp, blockchain, and third-party service that an user wishes to control in a decentralized manner. So the key differentiator between this and Civic, the key, self-key, Remy, and Uport is Essentia identities don't require any centralized app, email, or phone number. Essentia, you just sign in and you verify your messages to handle authorizations, and you can use it in any device, UI, or even command line. So what are the key features? And if you go into the white paper, which we will, there's about 10 times this amount. So they talk about all the different things that can be accomplished with Essentia. It does seem like a very wide range product. Obviously, they might be, taking on a lot of things, but I think a lot of these things are things that are needed. Obviously, they do have an awesome roadmap. They break down things very, very to the most minute detail, which I think is really cool. You don't usually see the level of detail as you would when we go into their roadmap. So full ownership and control of your identity, digital life, and personal data. The minimum piece of information that the user machine needs is just his seed. The whole framework just basically works around that seed. It's anonymous, pseudo-anonymous, and real-world compliant IDs and sub-IDs are at your fingertips, solving the problem of having an intermediary. The ability to operate with multiple blockchains under one ecosystem, but keeping everything decentralized. And then it goes on, but basically the whole thing reiterates it's keeping yourself secure, keeping everything in one place. Why Essentia has been created. To be able to keep the user's data, habits, personal information, location, social relations, financial details, and so on, represent the best mine of value, the service providers, as well as for the bad actors. So, as you know, there have been multiple hacks over the years for major corporations. I know a lot of people know that Facebook has a lot of data on us. Google has a lot of data on us. They're basically trying to be able to get away from that, be able to have all your data protected, to be safeguarded. Obviously, there's been, I think they talked about $2.5 trillion worth of hacks, worth of data hacks in the past couple of years in their white paper. And all of this from banking institutions, from social media, from vendors, all this, adds up. And this is why Essentia is needed. It is essential. I don't know if that's why they came up with that name, but it does kind of make sense. So, the problem, all the data is scattered around. They want to be able to even interoperating new technologies with old centralized resources can prove useful in making the paradigm shift from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 happen. Now we have our own data, and we've created it on different platforms. So basically, merging all this information into one. That's what their solution is. It's a modular, which I love. Modular is the way to go in the world we live in. We can't hard code everything to one system. If you look at all the projects we have, there's so many that are so similar. We need something that's modular, that's able to kind of work with other platforms, that's able to scale to other platforms, that's able to kind of be able to just work. I mean, you have too many platforms out there that are all in their own silo. They'll always be in their own silo. And we can't be like that. That's not the world we want to live in. We want to live in a decentralized world that will allow the functionality for integration within instances, within blockchains. And that's what Essentia is trying to do. So it's modular. As I mentioned, it's growing. It allows you to add things as new platforms develop, new wallets develop. It's scalable. There's a high throughput. I haven't seen where the high throughput counts because it is based on ERC20, but I'm assuming with the working through the different modular chains that they can scale through their platforms, but I couldn't see that even in the technical details of the white paper. But that is something to be researched. Full data ownership, of course, and multi-chain, multi-device. Essentia basically supports different blockchains, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, many more. I saw EOS on there. Neo is on there, IoT, CLI, so we can work on devices as well. So we're looking at something that can integrate IoT devices to Ethereum, to Neo, back and forth, all within one seed. Businesses can use this for KYC and GDPR. We'll go into GDPR under the companies, but basically for individuals, you have decentralized passwordless logins. You can do your KYC registrations, GDPR compliance for companies, and they can also use it for oracles, for smart contracts, and building on top of Essentia. Companies can build platforms or dApps on top of Essentia for reputation, insurance companies for trustworthiness of the actual transactions. They can utilize that through the ESSID without relying on an intermediary. They have Jarvis, which is a robot holding the keys to the digital life that can act as an assistant, granting you sole control over its functionality using the master key. They will be offering master nodes. 10% of the total allocation of tokens will be rewards for the master nodes. You need 100,000 tokens in order to be locked in as a master node. They're expecting around 2,000 nodes to be in the system. Master nodes is always good. I haven't seen many projects recently with master nodes, so I thought that was really cool. And here you can see the roadmap. I mean, we're talking very, very minute details about what's actually being done. Alpha MVP, as what I mentioned, the Essentia it is working. They talk about the R&D, the prototyping, what's public. They talk about their first airdrop after the ICO ends. The whitelisting has just begun, so you can definitely join the whitelist now. I'll go into the token information. But then we have here the roadmap, Q2. They talk about their chain, the single chain nodes and modules that they're going to be working with. Ether, BTC, IOTA, Litecoin. They are working currently with the VPN, as I mentioned. Tor, Mysterium is the party, the blockchain that they're working with. So ID management, hardware seeds, pre-alpha of devices. I mean, there's so many things here if you actually go through all this. They have quite a lot of things going on when it comes to their roadmap, and I do like that they break it down into a little bit more technical terms. Obviously, it might get people a little more scared, but they do have a lot of things on their plate, and they do have a very good sense of direction. As far as their team is concerned, the founders all have a lot of historical background in the IT world, blockchain startups. They have been working on different things from Fortune 500 companies to building companies from the ground up. So obviously I haven't seen any like A+ stars out here when it comes to the main team. Obviously, it doesn't seem that there's going to be a major player when it comes to the core team. But if you look at most projects nowadays, it comes down to advisors. If they have good developers, the CEO, the CTO, all these people. They have the vision. Everybody has a vision once. Mark Zuckerberg had vision. People didn't know him. He had no background. So they have a good core team. They have quite a lot of people on their team, which always impresses me when I see more than 5 or 10 people on their site. Advisors, Dr. Mo Levin, he's a big player. Most people don't know. He's the CEO of Keynote. He's been an early investor in Risk Labs, Dropbox, others. He is a big tech person. He is also one of the biggest blockchain enthusiasts out there. So we have a lot of good people. Thomas Graham came from QuantStamp, so really good to know that He was working with them as the managing partner and an advisory firm for QuantStamp. And they do have a lot of people. They have someone from the Icon Foundation who's on the board, Motorola, AidCoin, which is similar to GiveCoin, where they have basically a charity-based blockchain solution. So they do have a good amount of partners. Some of them are the ones that are mentioned above in the blockchain area. And just going to their white pages, I'm not going to go through it all because it is a very, very long white page. And they do have a lot of information, a lot of technical details. I just want to hit on some high points when it comes down to the Essentia project. As I mentioned, it is a modular framework that is bootstrapped from a seed by deriving its extended keys in a hierarchical, deterministic way and by associating them to the related data that are available encrypted on the decentralized storage on local copies. So your seed is then linked somehow related to the other data in the other systems. So as I mentioned before, IPFS or Mysterium, or your data is here, it's there. That's how it's done. It's all linked to that seed. The seed represents the minimum quantity of information that's currently necessary in order to be able to access and use your connected data IDs. So all you need is your seed, and your seed will then be able to go into all the other aspects of what's connected to the platform. And it provides them with a decentralized desktop server experience, and I'll show that quickly. I forgot I didn't show that. And that will basically be a UI for them that they can see all the different DApps it's connected to and be able to work through them, work through the DEX, the dApps, the wallets. You can keep everything within the platform, basically. So there's a lot of information. It's cross-chain, multi-chain, and multi-protocol. I think that's one of my big things when it comes to this project, how it can work with multiple projects. Trustless, trustable, and secure, backed by strong cryptography. Obviously, that's another key point in the world we live in now. So current risks, this talks about how data breaches, IT. There's multiple points of failure where people can lose their information, their identity, and that's where Essentia comes in. And this kind of just gives you a broad range of what Essentia could be, how it can link to multiple things, whether it's data, media files, ID. You can use anonymous ID, real-world ID, IOC devices, oracles for business, on-chain, off-chain, or cross-chain. Communications through social, mail, email. That's things that they've already integrated with. And then you get into this is more business related, the eggs, E2E, eGPS, assets, your cryptocurrency. And then they go into a little bit more of the details. This is kind of just how they kind of visualize the platform and how they see people accessing the Essentia network. Multiple ways of being able to access it, whether desktop, through IoT devices, through business, on-chain, cross-chain, off-chain, virtualized machines, ESS eggs is the business model, mobile devices. So the being able to integrate through multiple ways of going into the system. Essentia framework is built on Ethereum, as I mentioned, but basically through the seeds, they will integrate cross-chain and work with the other platforms. So they say the aim of the Essentia project is to develop, implement, and share new protocol level solutions for the Ethereum ecosystem, and to propose, develop, and contribute to new or existing EIPs, such as those already inspired by Essentia Research Development, the 725 and 735. So I'll have to do more research on this. Some more technical stuff on how the main components work and how the information gets stored around from your seed information here all the way through the different points and bridges, modules, off-chain, on-chain. Don't let that confuse you. Basically, they want to be able to keep everything almost like in a horizontal. In a video I saw, they want to keep everything in a horizontal method of seeing things where all the information can be related to the seed, whether it's files, is exchange, the dApps, logins, having multiple IDs, authorization manager, all built in through the platform. And here are some of the main properties, things that could be utilized through the main framework. As I mentioned before, computers and networks and energy models. So getting a little bit more technical. Trustless and secure. Private, only the user has the full ownership and control. That's the key point. And decentralized, always available. Cross-chain, multi-chain, and multi-protocol. Flexible and scalable, modular. Privacy focus, anti-censorship. So it hits on all the things on what people want in a decentralized platform. Okay, going back to the language agnostic, host agnostic. So the framework modules and components can be implemented and written in almost any programming language that is compliant and adheres to the set of conventions determined by the Essentia consensus. So you don't need to work on, if you're working on the framework modules, you don't need to only learn Solidity. You can do it in different ways. Almost any language is suitable for implementing the framework and for developing it. This makes Essentia a multi-language or language-agnostic platform. The framework can run on most host architectures and operating system, being able to scale and fully functional by adapting to low resources setups as well as virtualized or distributed high-end setups. So old computers, phones, this can work on those platforms, they're basically saying. And then we go on to the huge list that I said that is 10 times what we just saw on the website. They go through all the different use cases, and I definitely recommend everybody go check this out because, as you can see, this is a long list of information. Going to try Essentia. I'm going to log out because, for whatever reason, I'm just making up a fake and it's basically going to create a new account for me. As the wheels turn. So here you can actually see your seed, you can save it, you can show your mnemonic phrase, but basically here you can add your dApps. This is what comes as a default. You have your decentralized exchange, your e-login, your storage, your wallet. Then you get your token swap, your news, and all the other platforms that they have. So if I want to add status here, I can then open up the status app, create new contact, make conversations with them like you would do for iChat or Hangouts, and you can talk and chat with people through status and send funds through status. I can jump to Ether Delta immediately, and my funds are already in here because of my wallet. I'm able to make purchases directly through Ether Delta. On my wallet, I can see all the different tokens that I have. I can send, receive. It's an Ethereum address, so it accepts ERC20 tokens. Storage, if I want to upload things to Swarm, IPFS, and storage, all that information is here. So awesome. It's kind of like Google Drive. And e-login, so I can have different logins for the different platforms that I'm set up for, or different dApps. And I can go back if I want and make any changes as needed. I can remove things, I can add things. So it is a cool platform. Obviously, this is a working MVP right now, which I do like and I think is really cool. As far as what they have in plans for the future, the CEO of the company just put this out, the Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 comparison landscape. Welcome to Internet of Blockchains. I thought this was a really cool picture of all the different areas, the protocols. Well, obviously, the protocol they have here is Essentia, but then they talk about where things lie and all the different things out there, and they kind of, they could work with most of these, Web 3.0 companies. They could integrate with most of them as long as they're willing to be able to work and benefit each other. So definitely give it a good check. Do your own research. I think it's a very worthwhile project. Obviously, I'd like to see more information on the token. I don't know if the token details, I do apologize, are in here. All right, so I was not able to find too much of the information on the actual token metrics. I will try to get some more information on this. But in the whitelist, as far as the details are concerned, there should be more information upcoming with the Essentia team. I do think the project itself is definitely worthwhile. They do have a lot of things planned. They do have some good integrations as far as right now. Obviously, I would like to see some more information on their token statistics and more, at least visible out there, because I don't think they put it out there as much as one would do. Obviously, the initial value of the token, they don't really tell you how many tokens there are right here on the main page, which always scares me a little bit. But I think as far as the project is concerned, they do have a very worthwhile project. I think the interoperability protocol is definitely something that is needed in the future, decentralized version of it. So definitely do your own research. Let me know what you guys think. I think I will definitely be taking a peek into this. I've already signed up for the whitelist, so hopefully we'll get some more information soon. I can do another update on this video once I get more details from the team. So I hope you guys liked this, enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Shoot me a comment. And please like, subscribe, guys. I hope you guys have a great day.